Hey everybody, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped in today. We'll be making a cute Thanksgiving card, starting with this 5x7 card on ivory cardstock. We'll be using several Spellbinders Small Die of the Month die sets, and they are so cute and intricate. You're going to love this. So I'm starting here with the body parts, the arms, legs, head, neck, all of that. And I'll run it through my Sizzix Big Shot machine. Cuts out these adorable die cuts. I mean, the details in these are so extraordinary. You'll love these Small Die of the Month sets. So I always like to add a little shading to my skin tone. Just a little bit on the edges. I'm starting with her legs right here. And I find it's easier to leave the die cuts intact in the cardstock while I'm doing my shading. Because as you can see, these pieces are really small. This is the neck. And then I accidentally started, oh, those are shoes, so I don't need to do those right now. But I'll move on to the face and just add a little shading and leave the middle highlighted with just the natural color of the cardstock. Okay, that does it for the arms, legs, neck, and face. Next I move on to the dress, and I thought I'd use a cream color for the apron and this cute plaid for the dress. So again, I run those through my Sizzix Big Shot machine. And I just want to show you the details of these Spellbinders dies are just amazing. Okay, I have a little oops right here with my washi tape. It actually pulled off a piece of my paper, but that's okay because my apron's going to cover that. But watch when I detach this apron. So you've got the middle part there, and then the outer edge of the apron actually has all of this little detail. I think you can see those dots in there for the edge of the apron. And I thought I needed to add a little bit to the middle of my apron since I'm using a tone-on-tone color here. So I used the Recollections Monogram Embossing folder because I like that little bitty dot. So I have a Sizzix Texture Boutique I run all my embossing folders through. And here we go. Adds just the right amount of little detail. I mean, the dies are so intricate, I wanted to do justice by adding a little detail to the center of that apron. So I'll get that apron adhered to the front of my dress. So cute. And I think you can get an idea of how small these are compared to my hands. So what makes them just really outstanding. The detail, whoever's doing the design for the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month, I'm really impressed. Okay, there's our dress with the apron all adhered. And then these are the different styles of hairstyles you can add to your girl on the front here. So I just take some of my markers in a couple of different shades, and I like starting on this cream color because I'm going to let that be a natural highlight to the hair colors that I'm using. I've sped this up a little bit. I'm just trying to get some detail in here with the strands of hair. Okay, there's one of the buns you could use for the hairstyle, and here's another bun. You can stack those buns. You can use it on top of the head, to the side of the head, like a little side ponytail. And then that little half moon shape down at the bottom is actually a headband or a hair ribbon. But you'll see how this all goes together in just a second. So again, I'm letting that cream color show through my little lines here to act as a natural hair highlight to her hair color. About finished with that. Trying to smooth out my lines here. Alright, and here's that little hair ribbon or hair band, whatever you want to call it. I'm using a green to coordinate with the colors in my dress. Okay, and here's where you get to play around with the hairstyle. Do you want it more offset, a bun on the top? You can see when you add your little hair ribbon there, we'll finish off kind of like this. Or you can decide to add a bun to the side and get rid of the bun that's on top. It's totally up to you. They give you a lot of options here. This is what I ended up with. I like her head tilted slightly to the right with the bun on top. Now I'm moving on to the pie. And folks, if you're the hostess that brings this big of a beautiful pie to the party, you will be invited every year. So here is the pie plate or pie pan. Just adding a little bit of a silvery gray there. And then I'm going to decorate my pie. I thought this looked most like a pie crust color. And these dies, I mean, look at this pie. It even has 3 little vent holes at the top, which makes it pretty authentic looking for such a little thing. So I'm going to blend in my colors here so I have a nice brown color to my pie crust. Want that good flaky pie. Now I don't know about y'all, but on holidays I prefer the pie crust over the filling, actually. I know that's a little weird, but that's my favorite part of the dessert is the crust. Most people get rid of the crust, but I like the crust. So here I'm just adding a little darker detail by combining my 2 ink colors so that this edge of my pie has got that little, you know how you use your fork to make the little tine marks on your pie crust? Well, that's what this die does for you. Just watch what happens here. I mean, the devil is in the details, right? Look at this pie. Is that the most adorable little thing you've ever seen? I love it. Love these dies. I hope you can see those vent holes at the top. Okay, so I give this fits perfectly in her little hands, but what a monster of a pie. Like I said, she will be invited to the party every year if she keeps bringing these types of pies. So I added a little foam tape and curled the edges around to give it a little more dimension when it fits into her hands. And that's why you don't want to adhere her hands down to the front of her apron, because you want them free to be able to hold this pie. There she is. Okay. Now, I thought my card was looking a little plain after all that work to my girls, so I wanted to add some ink splatters, and I just take some of my pins there and put them on my glass mat and add a little bit of water to them and use my brush to add the splatters. Okay, next I'll be using the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month Fall Leaves Card Creator dies, and these are so beautiful. I mean, you have a lot of options to use these dies. There's a connector, those that I'm cutting off, and there's a little connector piece if you wanted to use those to connect all the corners together. You could. But I used this paper that had all these beautiful fall colors in it, and that's all I'm going to do there. I like the look of that in the corners, and then I'm going to use that same paper to cut out a few additional leaves, which is also in that die set, just to even out the sides there. And you'll see later that I decided to add a few more leaves than that. Okay, and then I used the Spellbinders Fancy Edge Oval dies for my focal point, and I ran that smaller die through the stitched plaid embossing folder by Sizzix. So I'll get my ovals adhered to the front of my card. Now this is the same paper that I used to cut out those leaf corners, and I think it just coordinates beautifully. Okay, adding my stitched plaid embossed oval there. Perfect. And then my pie bearing lady as the focal point. I wanted her to stand out, and I think she does that perfectly on those die cuts. Okay, getting her adhered down. And here is the dimension we gained with the foam tape and the embossing folders. Okay, and then from that same Fall Leaves card creator set, I'm using the Grateful sentiment. And this is a beautiful scripty little sentiment. So I just used some spray adhesive behind there, which I think works beautifully with these intricate cutouts, and adhered that across the front of her apron, and there is the front of our card. Turned out so cute. For the inside, I just used a Happy Thanksgiving sentiment and some of the Spellbinders decorative edges, scallops for the top and bottom of that sentiment. I stamp on the back of the card, and our card is all finished. And the envelope, please. So as a finishing touch, I always like to line my envelopes. So the envelope size is 7 1/4 by 9 inches all the way to the top of the flap. Then I'm going to take a piece of that coordinating paper and cut it down to 7 inches by 8 3/4, which fits perfectly down inside our envelope. And you don't need any special dies to line your envelopes, folks. Just take a pencil, mark the flap, then take your scissors, fold your paper over, don't crease it, just take your scissors, kind of line it up with your envelope so you know about how much you need to cut off on the inside of your pencil line to allow for that gum line so that you can seal your envelopes later. Okay, I just use a little adhesive on 2 sides of that flap because I want it to be able to move easily when I open and close the envelope. Fold it back over, press down the adhesion, and there you go, a lined envelope. Couldn't be any easier than that. If you like this, I have other videos showing how to line your envelopes. I also like to finish off by using some stamps on the front and back of my envelopes just to coordinate with what's to come on the inside. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see some other videos, you can visit my blog at www.vintagehillstudio.com. And I hope to see you again. Happy crafting, everyone!